G'day, my name is Sherice. I am a Skills Development Facilitator at the Head Office in Pretoria.
Good day everyone, my name is Chante Lottering and I'm also an SDF at the SEESA Head Office in Pretoria.
Today we will be going through one of the most frequently asked questions and topics that appears in employment equity audits from the Department of Labour. The when, what and how in terms of analysing your company to comply with the requirements as set out in the EEA12 analysis, Section 19 of the Employment Equity Act.
Sherice, you've been quite few in numbers of employment equity audits from the Department of Labour recently. But before we get into the main points that companies must look out for when complying to the Employment Equity Act, a company has to immediately inform the SDF they are being audited in order for the SDF to be aware of the audit and ultimately guide and assist the company throughout the process, as this is part of what we offer to our clients. Now, Sherice, let's get straight into it. Where does analysing your company fit into the compliance process, and does the EEA12 also get submitted to the Department of Labour?
Great question, Chante. According to Section 19 of the Employment Equity Act, a designated employer must conduct an analysis as prescribed of its employment policies, practice, procedures, and the working environment in order to identify employment barriers, which unduly affects people from designated groups and identify over- and underrepresentation of designated groups in all occupational levels. And no, the EEA12 is not annually submitted along with the EEA2 and the EEA4, but without it you will be false reporting, as your committee needs to analyse your company first before they will be able to draft and submit the EEA2 and 4 to the Department of Labour.
Thank you, but when and how would a company know if something identifies as a barrier?
As a company analyses their policy, a barrier can be identified in 3 ways. 1, the company does not have a policy in place at all. 2, a policy in place, but no procedure on how to implement it. Or 3, there's a policy in place, a procedure on how to implement it, but it's not being practiced.
So an example for this can be an HIV and AIDS policy, a procedure on how to implement the policy and to ensure that we practice it. Just a note, especially on the EEA12, what the reason for the barrier is and how the company plans to overcome it. Thus, what affirmative action measure will be used? In the case of our example, we can note that we don't have a policy in place for HIV and AIDS and explain that the barrier will be to implement a policy as well as procedures and practice methods. Our affirmative action measure will include stating that the workplace policy provides the framework for action and reduce the spread of HIV and AIDS, its impact combining prevention, care, and the protection of rights. Thus, in the next year, we will overcome the barrier by ensuring we comply with all 3 parts required and analysed.
That's perfectly explained. Thank you, Chante. Now, to explain the second part of the company analysis based on the EEA12 requirements in Section 19 of the Employment Equity Act, which is to identify over- and underrepresentation of designated groups in all occupational levels. The analysis is done separately for each occupational level and for each race and gender intersection. The degree of underrepresentation of the designated groups is determined by taking into account the economically active population as outlined in the EEA8 of these regulations. And underneath each occupational level breakdown, the Employment Equity Committee must furnish the findings, including proposed strategies on how underrepresentation will be addressed.
The EAP, Economic Active Population, refers to the benchmark to assist employers in analysing their workforce based on the province they are in. It focuses on achieving fair representation of South Africa's people in an attempt to eliminate unfair discrimination. This act pushes for equal employment opportunities for those whose opportunities were previously oppressed. This refers to statistics on the national and provincial economically active population in terms of race and gender. This information must be used by employers when consulting with employees, conducting an analysis, and when preparing and implementing employment equity plans.
Perfect. And just keep in mind that each affirmative action measures in terms of barriers and underrepresentation of designated groups must be noted with a specific time frame. A numerical TARP refers to what the company wants to overcome and achieve each year, and a numerical goal, what the company wants to overcome and achieve by the end of the employment equity plan.
Thank you so much for your knowledge and assistance today, Sherice. Your skills development facilitator at SEESA is fully equipped and eager to assist you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And for any further questions, contact your SDF at SEESA or visit our website to get in touch.